School buffs. Tamu.
Not in this league, you're not. I ain't heard my boy Uncle in a minute. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in this bitch. All right, 2027, man. Let's get to it right now. Week 9, 2027. When it comes down to homecoming league, we are
Loloots.
middle of the season. What we are right now is we are halfway away from playoff play, bowl game play, and while we're halfway away, we're also halfway away from National Signing Day, getting these classes signed. And once again, Clemson is going bonkers. But there's a new player when it comes down to recruiting. There's a new player in the mix right now that's been there and been quiet. And because of the recruiting they've done over the last 3 seasons, you're seeing them sitting in the top 5 this year. It's a lot to talk about on today's episode. Uh, Halfway there, right? Halfway to the playoffs, the run, man. We also got a coach on that we want to talk to and ask him some questions. He's doing really big things over there. Him and Coach Fran Brown, both are from the, actually all 3 of their coaches are all from the same neighborhood. 2 of them playing at the same high school and one being at a rival high school right down the street. But with that being said, let's get to it. I'm your host, and Hitch, the franchise guru, the game day guru, the game day college guru, whatever you want to call it, it's a guru, period. And we're going to take these Colorado Buffs and continue to do the things we do with them. Let's get into it right away, man. First thing we want to talk about is our top 25, as you can see, media and coaches poll. We're going to get into it right now. So let's start with the media's poll right now. First of all, first and foremost, Alabama with 39 first place votes are sitting at 9-0 with a massive win over Georgia at 42-21. They have dominated Georgia all 3 years, actually all 4 seasons thus far. All right, they up against Vanderbilt this week. We'll see how that goes. We know Alabama really don't slip up. They are 2-time defending national champions. Not 2-time defending, but they are 2-time national champions, with Clemson winning in between their win in the first season. And right behind them is the number 1 recruiting team in the country. They probably got more 5-stars bringing in right now. Dabo Sweeney turned over the recruiting to Coach Hoodie, and he's just been going bonkers. When I say bonkers, I mean you usually only see this type of shit happening in your dummy league, your own league, like your offline league yourself, where you bringing in somewhere between 12 and 13 5-stars. Is fucking ridiculous. But how about the number 3 team in the country with 33 first place votes? Now pay attention to this. Clemson is sitting at number 2 with 4 first place votes in the media poll, but Syracuse is sitting at 33, sitting with 33 first place votes at number 3 right now. So I'm quite sure if you go to the coaches poll, you can see the flip. Syracuse has the number 1 ranked team in the coaches poll. This is going to be interesting down the stretch. I promise you that. Pay attention. All right, back to the media's poll. At number 33, you got Syracuse. They just took on Stanford, tearing Stanford into a new, I would say, a new academic level of smart but ass whoop. 56-14. They up at Virginia Tech. This week, they definitely take their talents on the road to Virginia Tech. I mean, the 3 programs we just spoke of, Alabama, Clemson, and Syracuse, man, it's top shelf. They're doing some things that continue to keep them dominant. And, I would say Clemson is doing a great job, not only recruiting, but they're winning ball games. They're doing things big. They have a national title already, and they're just keeping the train going, right? Alabama, The coach came in, took over a really healthy team. Saban left, and then Coach Brandon came in with DeBoer, and they're keeping the train running. And what they're doing is they're developing their talent, but they're keeping talent. Like people not leaving, hitting the portal on them. They're sneaky picking up guys. They're not dominating in recruiting, but they're doing enough to maintain a blue blood roster, right? I think if you're not going to be the best recruiter, you have to maintain your roster, keep everybody around. You got to recruit the guys on your team already, keep them around, keep them developing, and you just put the pieces in the right place, and you go out there and strategically get what you need to be able to keep that train running. And I think they're doing a really good job of that, right? Like I think as the seasons go, they're still sitting with high overall offense and defense. So that tells you that they're doing a good job with development, and they're doing a good job of putting the right people around that quarterback they got, right? Because it all starts there. They went and got themselves a quarterback who's been a Heisman runner, like he's been a runner-up in the Heisman. Looks like he wants to win one the way he's going this year. And then they got a strong run game that comes in with a young player they had. We'll talk about a little later. All right, Clemson, I said at number 2, Syracuse number 3. And the fact of the matter is Syracuse was a program that was dead in the water, right? And they've been a playoff team since Coach Falk has been a part of this coaching staff. Simple as that. He's one of the best offensive and hottest offensive coordinators in the country right now. And what I mean is there are big time jobs with big time openings that it's going to be hard to keep him at Syracuse going forward. Like Ohio State just fired their coach, and they're running off an interim coach right now. Don't be surprised if you don't see Coach Falk at Ohio State. I think he's the hottest coach on the market right now. There's another coach out there that's very hot as well that I know Ohio State for a fact is looking into right now. They're trying to go pull offensive coordinator, and they're trying to pull a head coach. They're trying to figure out which one they want. Do they want to go the head coach route, or do they want to go the offensive coordinator route? And when you win and you're successful, your coordinators are the first to go. I promise you, people are going to come get them. These alumni are not going to let these good coaches just sit and be offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators, such things like that. They want them guys to head up their program, right? And I think Coach Falk has done a really good job keeping Syracuse in the mix right now. Kyle McCord, he took over. Kyle McCord and was lights out, one of the best quarterbacks in college football in 2024. And then they bring Kingsbury in, which was already on a roster when most guys probably would have hit the portal to look for a quarterback or, try to get one out of the high school rankings. They brought guys in, but they knew they had the guy sitting on their roster. And Kingsbury has turned into probably the best quarterback in college football. And, as a pure passer, when it comes down to drop back pocket passer ready for the NFL right now, Kingsbury might be the best quarterback in college football right now. And then there's Texas. Look, it's a conversation with Texas, right? I think if you ask the head coach, and then you ask the defensive coordinator over there, and Jimbo, I think he would tell you he's underachieving. But I don't think that is the truth of what this program has been doing over the last 4 years. What I do think is, I think their expectations are championship or bust, and because that hasn't happened yet, I think he feel like he's underachieving. But far as the recruiting trail, that oil state is taking over. They coming in second for the last 2 years. They've been in second and third place over the last 3 seasons. Simple as that, right? They're dominating on the recruiting stage. They're bringing the talent in. Top 5 blue chip players are coming in for sure. And they're winning ball games. However, the SEC is the SEC, and it's any given Saturday with the SEC. And I feel like they don't feel like they put their foot on the SEC's neck right now, right? Tennessee's still in the mix. You got teams like Alabama in the way of it right now. So I think they're just in a situation where they feel like, they should be the brand of the SEC, and they don't feel like they're there yet. I think that's where they at now. Reality is, this is one of the best teams, top 5 team in the country. right? And it's been that way consistently. And when you're consistent, that's all that matters, right? I think a championship will come. I think big time wins and games is being won there. I think I think some letdowns has happened, but I think this is a program that's showing you that the big state of Texas is owned by them, right? Texas A&M, Texas State, Texas Tech, whatever you want to call them, out there in Texas, Houston, all those schools are little brothers to Texas, right? And they're showing that throughout the recruiting rankings and all that stuff. So to me, I like where they at now. They went from 7-4. If you pay attention to what they did, they had a big time win over Tennessee, right? A top 10 win, 28-24. Tennessee dropped to 10, and Texas jumped over two teams that won, right? They jumped over three teams that won. They jumped over well, they didn't jump over. They jumped over, I would say they jumped over Florida, and they jumped over Colorado. After both of those teams had big time wins, Texas win was so impressive, they jumped over top of them and started and left off at 4 right now. And it's only right? When you win a top 10 win like that, it's going to trump everything else. And the number 5 team on the media's on the media's poll right now are the Florida Gators, right? Not only is the Florida Gators looking like they're ready to be, like they want to be taken serious in the SEC. It's that simple, right? And I think people have been ignoring the fact that this has been a top 5, the top 10 recruiting class program over the last 4 seasons, right? And right now they're sitting at number 2 in the country in recruiting right now. And that's telling you it doesn't matter what's going on in Florida. What matters is they're keeping the talent in Florida. Simple as that. They're dominating Miami on the recruiting trail right now. They're dominating Florida State on the recruiting trail right now. They're dominating all the other little sub-Florida teams out there right now on the recruiting trail, and they're keeping their talent in-house right now, and it's starting to pay off on the field, right? They're led by DJ Lagway, who's a Texas resident, Texas native, but behind him, when you got a quarterback, people follow. Simple as that. And they've been putting pieces around him the entire time. They have a good running back room. They have a really good wide receiver room. No, you don't work anymore, Mom. No, you don't work anymore, Mom. You've been retired. You're retired, and you're medically retired, and you've been retired for about 5-6 years now. Yeah. No, you didn't. You went with Uncle Ty yesterday. Y'all went out. Y'all went out with He took all his sisters out. That's because you haven't got no sleep. You're tired and you sundowning. But yeah, you don't have work. You're good. Okay. All right. I apologize, fellas. Yes, ma'am. They right here. You said an ashtray?
So I'm not working now.
No.
How long ago this started?
It's been a while.
No.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. It's been a while, Mom.
Let me go to bed.
Get your Pepsi. Yeah, it's all right. Just lay down, get some sleep. When you wake up tomorrow, you'll remember.
I might be on your ass tomorrow.
That's fine. That's what I'm here for. All right. Sorry about that, fellas. Mom Duke's come before anything else, man. She's sundowner, early stage dementia at a very young age. But back to Florida, right? I don't think this is their first time in the top 10 as far as ranking wise go. I think it's, this might be their highest ranking in 4 seasons. And this is my message to the Florida Gators and their whole community in Gainesville. It's all good right now, right? But what's going to change for Florida is big wins, right? You got to be able to first of all, you got to be able to win that rival game against Georgia. You got to be able to take care of that. And then out of the big power three over there, Alabama, Texas, and Tennessee, you have to be able to get one of those guys this year, right? I think Florida got to beat Georgia and has to beat one of the three power teams over there. If they can do that, I think this year is a stepping stone of proving that that the recruiting they've been doing and everything they've been doing is starting to add up. Now they just got to get it done on the field right now. And I think Coach Hitter is up for the challenge. They got to get where they're making the mistakes at the wrong time. Like they had a big time win this year over USC, a very big win, and the play calling in that game was outstanding. And I think they got to continue to do that for them to be able to beat a Tennessee, a Texas, a Alabama, or Georgia. All right, and that's your Florida Gator program right now. Like I apologize again. All right, so we're back. We're back live. Look at it as a little commercial break. Again, Florida got it better. Like they got to get over that Georgia game. They got to better win that game. That's a huge game for them. It's a rival game, and it's a game they haven't won since Coach Hitter has taken over this offense. They haven't won that game. And you know, and I know the boosters, the alumni, the decision makers in those programs aren't going to allow you as a coach to continue to not win the rival games, right? The big games over there. So I think for Florida to continue what they're doing right now, being a top 5 team in the country right now, they have to be able to win one of those games, right? And out of the, like, when you think about Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, when you think about those teams, right? Texas, they got to win 2 of those games out of those teams mentioned this year, right? So Alabama, Alabama, Texas, Tennessee, and Georgia. Alabama, Texas, Tennessee, and Georgia. Out of those 4 teams, they gotta go 500. They gotta win 2 of those games, in my opinion, for them to continue to go take the forward step, right? You lose all 4 of those games, if they even play all 4 of them this year. But if you lose that Georgia game, that's a step back, in my opinion, right? You got to get over that hump. You got to be able to beat Georgia this year. And then you got to get one of the 2 powerhouses, one of the 3 powerhouses in Tennessee, Texas, and Alabama. Are they up for the challenge is the question, right? They're sitting at number 5. Now, they went up 1 in the poll, right? They went up a ranking from 6 to 5 after beating Mississippi State in big time win, 70-29. They whooped their ass. Next, at number 6. All right, Colorado. Colorado is a very interesting situation as well, too, right? Coach Prime out there. And they've been better. I mean, they lost 3 games in year 1. They lose 1 game in year 2. They lose the conference championship game in year 2, which knocked them out of the playoffs and into another bowl game. They're 2-0 in their bowl games, and last year they won their first playoff game and then lost in the second round of Oregon. And Coach Prime says that game haunts him to this day. That's a game that they feel like they should have won. To be honest with you, they feel like they should have beat that Oregon team last year. He took it on the chin. He said coaching lost us that football game, not the players. They came and played their butts off and did everything they had to do. But here's the reality. When you're a figure like Coach Prime, you don't have a window for improving year by year. You have to be that or you're not it at all. It's just that simple, right? And their offensive coordinator, Coach Ant Hitz, is solid. He likes what he got going on. They're doing a really good job play calling. I think they're getting into their bag. They moved on from Pat Shurmur. And promoted Coach Ant Hitz into the offensive coordinator. Now Pat Shurmur is still there. He's not coaching anymore, but he's on his way to taking an NFL job, which we hearing he's going to take over the Atlanta Falcons. So AI is the offensive coordinator and coming right now. So like he's pretty much uh, doing that job with Shermer. And what Israel brought to the table is physical football, right? Colorado's done a really good job. They actually finished top 5 last year in recruiting. But Dion and his recruiting staff, I think they're on the same wavelength as Alabama. And what I mean by that is they're particular who would they go after, right? At first it was all about the class, but year one, it was they thought the portal would be their way to success and bringing in draft picks, right? Rounds 1 through 7. Everybody they brought in through the high school ranks are guys that they looked at as draft picks, and then the free agency was the portal. Well, what they found out was the portal is not a wide net like they thought it would be, and they had to revive on how they move. So then in year 2, they stepped it up, finished with a top 10 class, and then year 3, they trumped that and finished with a top 5 class. So I think they're bringing the talent in, right, is around them, and they got their next quarterback in Juju Lewis. He's really, really taken over for Shador Sanders and actually got them farther than Shador has gotten them. But they set the blueprints. Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders, they set the foundation and the culture for this Colorado football team, and now they're doing it, right? This 2025 class that Colorado had, I think, is the class that is either going to take them to the next phase where they need to go at, or they're gonna be the team that just be looked at as they did better. Again, when it comes down to Coach Prime and this Colorado football team, it's either you did it all or you did nothing, right? So right now, this is the class he's banking on, the 2025 and 2026 class he's banking on to be able to go forward, right? This is the last season with Jordan Seaton. They brought in some elite 5-star offensive linemen to go along with some really good talent all around them from the 2026 class. And we think they where they need to be. But let's just talk about why it's either you doing it big or you're not doing it big at all, right? Year 1, they didn't even make it to the Big 12 championship. Year 2 and 3, big time losses in the Big 12 championship. Year 2, Kansas, with a 5-loss Kansas team, beat the brakes off of Colorado. Like their last 2 Big 12 championship games that they played in, they were down 42-7 in both games before halftime. Both games. And that's something that's going to, if they don't fix that, there's one, you haven't even dominated the Big 12 yet, right? You're not even winning the Big 12 consistently yet. So they're not, again, if you haven't done it all, you haven't done nothing. So although they've been ranked and they barely losing games, right? They lost three games in year 1. They lost 2 games since year 1. That's it, just 2 games since year 1. But they were 2 of the biggest games, 3 games if you conclude the playoff game they lost. But they lose in the big games, right? Now, why is that important? Coach Deion Sanders' first college career job was at Jackson State. And what did he do? He won regular season games, even won the SWAC 2 years in a row, but did not win the HBCU championship. Both years he lost before he left to Colorado. So, what type of story is Coach Prime going to write? And they're hoping this year with Coach Israel taking over the offensive coordinator job and the way things are going this year, they're hoping this is a year they can get over the hump. We shall see. But Colorado sitting at number 6, and as you can see, they drop, right? This is what you know about the Big 12. Are they respected like the ACC, or are they respected like the SEC? I don't know. I think it's between the Big 10 and Big 12. What's the next Power 4? The next 3 out of the Power 4, right? Right now, they didn't lose a game, and they played ranked number 22. They played Arizona. They won 22 when they played that ball game. Arizona was ranked in the teens still. I think they were sitting at. We'll find out when I go down here. Let's go look at them before I just act like I know what I'm talking about. Again, 13. I was going to say that too. Arizona was 13. They were 3 games outside of the top 10. Colorado came in at 5 ranked, won that football game, and still dropped to number 6 in the media's poll. Not just the media's poll, they dropped to number 6 in the coaches poll. Well, they were number 7. They went up 1. They were number 7 in the coaches poll, and they went to number 6. So a little better. Now, right behind that, you got NC State 6-1. NC State under Coach Max has been doing a hell of a job as well. He's doing a great job of recruiting, and he's doing a good job now. When you talk about Coach Max, the question is this: how good is NC State? NC State has been benefiting from a schedule of not having to really play the users in his conference, right? You cannot control the conference schedule. It's not his fault. But I think is a 50-50 there, right? When you're not playing the great teams in your conference, when you gotta play them in a conference championship or playoffs, it's killing him, right? Because all his playoff losses has came to teams that he play in the conference that's in the same, or he don't play, but they're in the same conference as him. And I think because he's not getting a feel of who these teams are, season in and season out, I think that's the problem. So I'm hoping that the conference schedulers align them right, where they got to play at least three out of the four powerhouses over there. But when you talk about consistency, you're talking about a coach that's been very consistent on what he's doing over there, right? Um, I think he's the jack of all trades. Like, this is a coach that doesn't have a problem paying attention to what the football world is doing, right? If you do it, he can do it, right? I think he's understanding, and you're starting to see this amongst a lot of his playing style from what he's looking for in his coordinators and his head coaching as far as scheme wise right now. I think they're learning that running the football and being able to do it at a high level can win you ball games, right? Like, they're in a mode where if they got to throw the ball only 6 times in the game, they'll do that. And I think because they're there right now, that's where they at right now. I think they're becoming a physical football team, right? How long does that physicality last is all up to what they do and what they continue to do in a recruiting game. Up next is Oregon. Oregon is sitting at number 9. They were number 9. They're sitting at 8 right now. They moved up. They had a big time game against Ohio State. I think that game was played before the coach was fired. Against Ohio State's coach was fired. They won that game. And they have won the Big Ten ever since Penn State coach was fired a few years ago. Well, not fired. He retired a few years ago. Oregon has been the team in the Big Ten right now. However, they got competition with UCLA, honestly, and USC, the two California teams. And it's funny because if you pay attention to the Big Ten, it seems like the West Coast teams are the teams that you got to worry about in the Big Ten. And that's the funny part of it. Now, Oregon and week 0, they opened up the kickoff classic with Clemson, lost that game, and have been on an eight game winning streak since then. Right now, taking care of Purdue 70-28, and then they took care of Ohio State and Eugene. So Oregon is where they at right now. We like their quarterback. And a lot of these teams are playing with quarterbacks that they was able to move on from the guys they had at first to what they brought in, and most of those guys got their quarterbacks from the 2025 class, and those guys have been putting the show on for sure. Yeah, for sure. And then USC, right? USC. I think this team defensively, they wanna line up and tell you to beat us man to man. Simple as that, right? This team is not afraid to play man on defense. And to me, I think that they're solid at the quarterback spot. Like, they have a really good quarterback from the 2025 class. And I think Coach Gator does a really good job with this football team as a whole, right? They do a hell of a job in recruiting. This team been a top 5 recruiting team. They dominate California, right? With UCLA trying to step into that right now, right? That's going to be a big game when they play. They didn't get to play each other last year, but UCLA got the first win in that game. And I think that's starting to show up a little bit, right? Because the more the winner of that game wins, the more the recruits in California will start to sway themselves to that school. So that's a big time matchup. We're gonna have to sit around and wait for and see how that plays itself out once they see each other on the field. And then the other thing is, who's the big playmaker, right? Zachariah Branch is in the NFL now. Who's that guy? Who's the next man up to better be the jack of all trades for USC, right? Who's the next Reggie Bush, Zachariah Branch? Who's the next guy that they could go to with the ball, put the ball in his hand, and he could do damn near anything? I think they're looking for that. I don't know if they have it on their roster yet. They might have him on his roster yet, but we haven't seen it show itself yet, right? So I think that's where they are right now. They're going to line up and play man to man. They're going to send the house at you, and they're going to make you make decisions real fast. And offensively, they want to be a little bit of everything, right? So we'll see. I think they put the ball in their quarterback hands, and they want him to make plays and show them that he can take them to the promised land. And Tennessee again. Look, man, their quarterback left very, very, very early as a sophomore, as a redshirt sophomore. Nico left and went to the NFL. They plugged and played. They had a nice little freshman redshirt that was sitting on the bench waiting for his turn, and he got his turn earlier than expected. And not only did he get his turn earlier than expected, I'm not going to say the offense has slowed down, without Nico, but it definitely changed. But it changed in the favor of what their quarterback is, right? They got a baby Kyler Murray, not as fast as Kyler Murray, but they got a quarterback that you got to account for in a run game. Simple as that. Now, Nico can do some things with his legs, right? But he was the guy that if you walked up and pressed or played man or cheated the run, he would make you pay with that laser sharp arm of his, right? I don't know if Kai, their quarterback now, I don't know if he has the same type of arm talent as Nico. I know for a fact he doesn't. But athletic wise, he's very talented to run that veer and shoot. The good thing with Coach Corey and them losing to Texas, I mean, it wasn't they didn't drop far, right? They went from 4 to 10. They dropped 6 spots. They're still in the top 10. That matters. But the other thing is the fact that they got to play Western Kentucky. That's a game that you can get your get back on, right? That's a game that you can think about all the mistakes y'all made and use that game as a practice to try to fix some of those mistakes in the Western Kentucky game because you know they're going to dog walk them. I think if they go out there and they treat that game the right way and not stat pat and play for and play to get better, I think they'll be fine come later on when it comes down to deciding who's going to win the championship and make the playoffs. At number 11, you're dealing with UCLA. One loss on the season right now. They got Rutgers, right? And Rutgers at 18 is a sneaky team. This is a team that damn near pit Ohio State's fan base and their boosters and all the stuff that and their athletic director put them on ice to be able to say, this is it. You don't win your next game, you're out of here. UCLA is in a good situation right now. They just took care of Wisconsin. Now they're at 18 Rutgers, but that's a trap game. If UCLA can come out of that game victorious, I think this is a team you're gonna have to worry about down the stretch. I don't know. I don't know if they can lose this Rutgers game and then still got teams like Oregon and USC in the mix, right? Miami sitting at 12 with one loss right now. 24-7 Pittsburgh. And to be honest with you, it's activity with McCoy right now. Coach McCoy's been doing a really good job with Miami. They've been in the top 10 recruiting every year. They, outside of this year, him and Florida have been like really dominating the state of Florida and all that. I think Florida decided this is our state more than it's yours anymore. But Miami's still in the mix. They're doing a really good job. They usually keep a really good talented running back room. They got some pieces. They lost a lot of their running backs over the last couple of seasons, right? But they're still in the mix right now, and they're still in a situation where they're still Miami to you. They've been back since 2024, and they haven't gone anywhere, right? This team has been in the playoffs. This team has been in the conference championship game. I just think they got to take that next step, right? Because they're surviving off of some things right now. Now, it just comes down to activity, right? Keeping up with the computer games and playing your games. They're surviving some things right now because of the leniency of me, right? No, not giving them losses in games that they not playing. But I think if he actively playing all his games, it's one of the most dominant teams in the country as well. They're in the mix, they're in the situation, right? But I think this year is a tough year for Miami. They're gonna have to finish strong. And I think if they can finish strong and get themselves in that conference championship game, because if you take a look at it, everybody but Clemson has a loss in that conference right now. So the door is open for a lot of these one-loss teams over there, and they're in the mix right now. UAB, a computer team, won't be talking about it. Utah, 8-2. Listen, they got Arizona. They probably played that game already. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the schedule. But they lost to Miami. I know that for a fact. And that's a game that Utah, to me, had to win, right? Because Utah has been playing solidly, really good football over the last 2 seasons. This team made the playoffs last year. Coach Hillbergers has that unique monster offense where it's a fast paced offensive lineman out at wide receiver, all types of stuff. It's so annoying to have to stop. And when they're hitting on all cylinders offensively, they do what they do. This team is breaded with 3 stars every year. Like they're not going to go crazy. They'll get like a 2 4 star, bring in 2 4 stars out of a class of 25, and those 2 4 stars are like 5 stars for them. But those 3 stars, once they develop after a year or two, it becomes something. I'm Colorado.
That's a working man's team.
Yes, sir. Now, what's crazy is Ohio State is working with an interim coach right now, right? They just let their coach go today. And they're still the 15th ranked team in the nation right now, right? 42-13 over Nebraska, but they at number 8 Oregon. I do think they lost that football game. Ohio State is one of the best rosters in the
Ohio
country right
State
now.
did.
They are definitely one of the best teams in the country right now, and whatever coach gets that job is going to be in a great
My days
situation.
gone. I didn't think they'd actually do it till now.
Hmm. Get out of there. Texas A&M sneakily 7-1 as a computer team. This is another team that if they had a user on it, man, this is a good roster overall. They deep. They 2-3 deep. They got speed. They got the type of players you need on this roster. They're in a good situation in my opinion. But they're 7-1, but they're not as a computer team. They're not going to beat the big time schools over there as well because they're one of the big time schools also. But you're not going to beat a Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, or even a Florida over there or Georgia over there as a computer team. When you're looking at number 17, that's my Michigan. They went from 21-17. Michigan has turned it around since the coaching change happened over there. 6-1 right now. They got Maryland and they beat them 37-24, and they're at Iowa right now. So a win over them, a win over Iowa will keep them in the mix right now. Michigan, look out for them with one loss. They've been winning. They've been winning ball games, and they've been doing a good job in recruiting since the new regime took over. And then there's Rutgers. They go from 22-18. When this guy is on plan and he plays his game, he can beat anybody in the country. 36-32 over Missouri, and now they at number 11. UCLA. This is going to be the game of the week, in my opinion. When these two teams play, the winner of these two teams is going to make a statement in the Big Ten for sure. USF, the Group of 5 school at 24, they go up to 19. Boise State as well from 23-20. UConn is winning ball games 7-1. They at Pittsburgh 25-21. They win that game. It's going to be some big time football going on in the Group of 5. How about Arizona? They fall to 23 from 13 after a loss to Colorado 30-14. But they at 14 Utah. They'll get them right back in the mix if they get that win. UTEP wasn't ranked. They jumped to 23 at 8-0. They beat up on Sam Houston 38-28. They got Liberty. A win there will keep them in the mix for a playoff spot as a Group of 5 team this season in 2027. And you're looking at Wisconsin, unmanned, 19. They go to 24 after losing to UCLA 49-21. And they at Illinois right now. And then Tulsa slides in at 6-2. They beat up Navy 24-21, and they're ranked number 25 in the country right now. So that's your top 25 media-wise. And when you look at coaches' poll, it don't really change too much. Syracuse does go to number 1. Alabama falls to 2 in this. Clemson goes to 3. Texas moves up to 4 from 6. Florida goes to 5. They stayed at 5. Colorado is at 6. They stayed at 6. NC State is at 8. As you can see, Oregon for 9. So in the coaches' poll, Tennessee didn't move outside of the top 10. UCLA is 10. Miami is sitting at 11. 12 is USC, and then so on. Utah 14. 16 for Rutgers. You come down to Michigan, they sitting at 18. And then Arizona is at 19 versus 22. All right, that's your coaches poll. That's your media poll. That's your top 25 in the league right now. Let's take a look at what's going on conference standings wise. All right, first conference, we're looking at the ACC. Syracuse, first time this season in about 2 years where they have started off undefeated, not playing, a highly ranked SEC team to start their season off with. Although I think this team would have beat any team they played early because of who they are right now. This team, I'm talking about, listen, on their defensive front, offensive line, they got some solid players. But on that defensive line, from the linebacker room, that front seven, let's just call it what it is, they got about 4 or 5 stars that are program changers right now. And they're dominating, which keeps them in the mix, right? That's the thing that they lack the most, being able to play in the trenches. Now they got trench play to go along with that wide, spread open, no Diddy, no Bell offense where they just five wide your ass, line up and let you play. Who you gonna cover? Because if I can read what you in, and we get 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2.5 at times, I'm going to dot your ass up. And then don't let that speed get behind you, because if it does, you're in trouble. Clemson number 2 right now. Then Florida State with a new coach this year are sitting at 6-2, 4-1 in the conference right now. NC State 6-1, 4-0, and Miami is 6-1, 3-0 in the conference right now. So I think the mix is between those teams, all users, as you can see. And not for nothing, Louisville, they're not ranked right now, but Louisville, right, they're on a 2-game losing streak, which stopped them from being ranked. They were top 10 at one point. And they're again, they played 2 really good teams back to back. But I do think Louisville is in a situation where you sleep on them if you want to, right? The only problem I got, they got 2 losses in their conference right now. But as you can see, and Notre Dame is having a 50-50 year. Their schedule was brutal this year. And as you can see, they're sitting at 4-4 and 2-2 in the conference. Let's look at the Big 12. The Big 12. All right, so right now Utah has more wins than anybody in their conference right now. They are 8-2, but they are 6-1 in conference play right now. That means they just lost their game to Utah. To Arizona. Arizona did beat them. Colorado sitting at 7-0, 4-0 in the conference right now. Arizona is number 6-2. They're number 3 in the conference, 4-1. They're going to move up to number 2. Colorado will move to number 1. Utah will try to drop to 3. Baylor's 3-4 in the season, but they're 3-1 in conference play right now. Same thing, Cincinnati 3-1, Kansas, and then you go down to UCF and TCU as usual, sitting at 2-3 and 1-3 in the conference. In the Big Ten, Oregon 8-1, only lost to Clemson. They're 6-0 conference play. Rutgers is 6-2, but 5-0 in conference play. Right along with UCLA, sitting at 6-1 and 4-0 in conference play. Same thing with USC, 6-1. Their only losses to SEC, Florida, and they're 4-0 in the conference right now. But right behind it, Michigan 3-1. And before Ohio State fired their coach, they were 5-3, 3-2 in the conference. Just losing to Oregon today, it was the nail in the coffin for the Ohio State coaching staff. Penn State sitting at 3-4. Now, their coach, another coach that was fired, that got another coach hired, right? Kansas Jayhawks coach took over the Penn State job immediately. Like, that was the end season move where they're 3-4. Look, at 3-4 with a coach there right now, one of the highest rated overall teams in the country right now, sitting at 95 as far as overall. They're 95 defense and a 95 offense. This team's not only they fell off kind of in recruitment, but the roster was built right away. Like, they had guys, and what helped Penn State was that in 2024, after they played in the national title game against Alabama, even though they lost that ball game, they returned their entire team. They came back, which gave the younger guys behind that team more time to develop, right? And the more they was developing while the veterans played in 2025, it put them in a situation where now you're looking at a team that's one of the best overall teams in the country. So the coaching job Kansas coach has been doing, now he goes to a bigger blue blood school with bigger resources, can recruit damn near half the country, and they have a really good roster. So I think Coach Rob is going to be in a good situation over here in Penn State as the season develops. And just pay attention to what they look like coming into next season. And then last but not least, the SEC, Alabama 9-0, 5-0 in the conference. Florida hasn't lost a game in the conference. Texas hasn't lost a game in the conference. Georgia has 1 loss in the conference. Tennessee has 1 loss in the conference. And then you're looking at Texas A&M with 1 loss in the conference. So that's how it looks right now, with South Carolina sitting at 3-4, 2-2. South Carolina is also looking for a coach this year. So we got 2 coaches, one head coach and an offensive coordinator that might be moving on from their teams right now. So pay attention to Arizona and how they finished this season, because South Carolina is a team that could be calling for a coach like Arizona's coach or Ohio State. And pay attention to Syracuse's offensive coordinator, Coach Falk. Is South Carolina or Ohio State an intriguing job for him to take over as a head coach? Questions are in the air right now. Or is it somebody from the outside going to come in and get those 2 jobs? Questions are coming this year. It's going to be a big year for a couple of teams to better keep coordinators around or head coaches around, and what they do this year will matter. All right, let's take a look at the Heisman race right now after 9 weeks of football. Well, after 8 weeks of football. All right, Doug Jones, right? The championship winning quarterback is in his junior year. He's been a starter since his freshman year. He balled out. He went 15 for 18, man. This man threw 3 incomplete passes, right? This is a team that really don't have to throw downfield. They will kill you with the RPO, the jet sweep game. They will kill you with it. They're one of the best teams in the country that do it, and they're really good at it, right? When your quarterback is only throwing in 3 incomplete passes and he doesn't really got to throw the ball downfield, I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying he doesn't really have to. Their offense is predicated on jet sweeps, on misdirection stuff, and to keep your eye candy going to be able to take you off the top the moment you start cheating to the things they do well. 3 touchdown passes, 1 interception. He was sacked once. He had 5 carries for 19 yards. He also had a rushing touchdown. But I think the strength of their offense right now is running through Devin Meredith, the big time running back. This guy gained weight and everything from 6'2" to 220 pounds. He done put on weight and everything. Put on freshman 15 or sophomore 15, whatever he did. But he got bigger and he's physical now. 16 carries, 95 yards, 5.9 yard average, 2 rushing touchdowns. And this is probably one of his weakest games, right? This guy's been rushing for 200 yards a game lately. Brandon Johnson, to me, is one of the best, if not the best, all-around back in the country. Flat out dog, right? He is leading his team in receiving yards and rushing yards and receiving touchdowns and rushing touchdowns right now. He had a slow game though against Colorado. It was slow, but it was just slow because he only had 5 touches through the run game, right? But he was averaging 9.2 yards a carry. So I don't know how slow that really was. It was just a lack of not giving him the ball. They really didn't get a chance to have the ball. Colorado was able to eat the clock while they was putting long drives together. So it kept the ball out of the explosive running back's hand for the most part. Cole Adams, he's been a fixture. He started his season off as a freshman, and he started it off as a special teams guy. This guy's been one of the best special team return players in the country. Not only that, now he's asked to be the guy for Alabama. Remember when I said Alabama is not dominating in recruiting, but they are dominating in development, right? When you have a young football team the way they had a bunch of guys behind a bunch of guys behind a bunch of guys. And when you got that, you can hold on for about 3 to 4 years. I think you're going to start to be able to look at the talent and how they doing right after this season, right? Now we in season 4. When we go to season 5, those rosters and NIL players usually are out of the league at this point now. And then it's what you did. So we'll see. Cam Michael has been a fixture. Listen, he was a game away from locking up the Heisman last year. And then he had a really bad game against Oklahoma. He got injured in that game. He only had 3 catches for 30 yards. And he had a terrible game in the Big 12. Thank Arizona for knocking him completely out of the Heisman race last year. And which he was upset about that this time around, because in 3 quarters he had 4 catches, 77 yards, 3 touchdowns against Arizona. So he was on his shit. He was mad. He said they shut him down last year. And Arizona has done a really good job taking Colorado's #1 player out of the game when it comes down to receiver. They've done a really good job. Just this week's game, he was actually on fire. He played really well. Which put him in the Heisman race, top 5, right? So they go your 5. So Alabama is dominating the Heisman race right now with a receiver, running back, and a quarterback. And then Arizona has the best running back in the country right now. And the numbers will tell you why. It's no lie. I'm not making it up. Men and women lie. Numbers don't. And Brandon Johnson is going crazy this year as a receiver and as a running back. And since we're talking about that, let's get to what they're doing in the stats right now. We're going to go to the national stats race right now and talk about what the country looking like and who's doing what, where, when, and how. All right, passing leaders right now. There it is. Doug Jones, 4,543 yards on the year right now. Right behind him is Greg Slayton for Clemson, 3,133 yards. Tied, well, not tied, but right behind him is Kai Weber, 3,113 yards. Then you're looking at UCLA's Tyler Gaskin at number 4 with 3,036 yards passing on the year. All right. Behind that, you're looking at Trent Heffley for Arizona, 2,989. Peter Kingsbury, 2,908. And then Julian Lewis, 2,763. Manning is here. Trevor Jackson is balling out for Florida State. Dante Moore is playing for Oregon. Quentin Barr is playing for Notre Dame. These are all quarterbacks that got the start as freshmen. All right, let's take a look at our touchdown leaders. 42 for Jones, 42 for Slayton. Top 2 quarterbacks in passing yards, top 2 quarterbacks and touchdowns as well. Julian Lewis with 35 touchdowns. So you're looking at Jones, 42 and 9, 74% on the year. He's averaging 505 yards a game right now. That's nuts. Slater, in his first start, this is the first time Clemson had to play an underclassman at the quarterback position in 4 years. 42 touchdowns, 20 INT, 64%, 392 yards a game. Julian Lewis, 35 touchdowns, 7 INTs, 77%, and he's 395 yards per game right now. Kai Weber, same thing, 34 and 11, 74%, 389. Trevor Jackson, 34 and 28, 58%. Peter Kingsbury, 33 and only 7 picks, 74% on the year. Heffley, 31 and 19, 64%. Taya Levy is 29 and 12, 60%. Dante Moore, 27 and 13, 58%. You can tell what teams are throwing that bitch down the field versus which teams is throwing fucking jet sweeps all game or bubbles and shit. Tyler Gaskins, 26 for 22, 63%. Arch Manning, 26 for 6, 66%. Listen, Arch Manning will be the #1 draft pick in this year's draft coming up, and it ain't because his name is Arch Manning. How about Lagway? Lagway is having the best season of his career right now. 25 touchdowns, 6 picks, 60%. Lagway is, his problem was bad interceptions, untimely picks. And he's not doing that this year, and I think that's the reason why you're watching this team sit at number 5 in the rankings right now and play good football. Yeah, I know that, bro. Yes, sir. We've been already doing it. Matt, if you're watching, I know. I appreciate you, though. All right, let's take a look at the running backs right now. Who leading the nation in carries? Donald Ryder, in his true sophomore season as a freshman, this kid led the league in rushing yards, right? Looking to bring that title back. As you can look up top underneath the O in his picture, you see what type of shit he's been doing already, right? All-American, captain, and he's already brought a trophy home as the best running back in the nation. Lance Barnes, UTEP carries. Now let's get to yards. How many 1,000-yard backs we have already? And we're sitting with 4. Ryder with 1,600. Right behind him is Devin Meredith with 1,405. How about Jared Gibson? Full-time, second year as a starter, full-time running back, 1,109. And then Brandon Johnson. Pay attention. Only 109 carries. This man is averaging 10 yards a pop. He already have 1,069 yards and 16 rushing touchdowns. 134 yards a game right now. Next up, Meredith. 9.6 yards a game. 1,405. He only has 146 carries right now on 9.6 yards a pop, 156 a game. Then you're looking at Peyton Lewis in his senior year, 134 carries, 887, 6.6 yards and 10 touchdowns. How about Curtis Maryland in a passing offense? Maryland is out here about to be 1,000-yard back within the next game or two with already 871, averaging 8.2 a game. All right. George Holdman for and that's crazy because they got 2 backs in Ohio State right now. They've been a 2-back team since year 1, right? Since Juckins and Travion Henderson. They got that again. They got a power back and a speed back that's dominant right now. Whoever gets this Ohio State team is going to be crazy. Oh my God. Mike Mitchell, the senior running back from Orange Park, Florida, took his talents to Utah, and you see what he's doing. Our touchdown leaders. Meredith with 21 touchdowns on the season, Ryder with 20, Johnson with 16, Gibson with 15, Maryland with 11, tied with the quarterback Doug Jones with 11, Lewis with 10, and then Jarvis Green for Michigan with 10 rushing touchdowns as well. In the receiver department, let's take a look at what's going on around the country. All right, Z Hayes got 65 catches already. Camden Fryer for Florida State with 63. Is Florida State back on a mishap right now? Then you're looking at Cam Michael. I think I can with 60 catches on the year. 57 for Jasper Parker. All right. Calvin Queensberry from Troy. Chris Lofton for JMU. How about Derek Parker Bragg for Duke? And then Jalen Brown, the senior, the redshirt senior for Alabama with 54 catches. Zachariah Carr with 53. So you're looking at Parker with 57, 53 there. KK Smith, number 11, the senior receiver with 52. And then Cole Adams with 52 as well, along with Jalen Pope for Oklahoma State. and Alfonso Hollowell, 6'3", 183, the speed demon with number 4 with 48 catches on the season. Let's go to yards wise. We got a few 1,000-yard receivers right now, but none has done more yards than Jasper Parker. 1645 on the year. He averages 28.9 yards a catch. Zachary Carr, his teammate, 1576, and he averaging 29.7 yards a catch. How about PHI, Philly Z Haynes with 65 catches, 1409, 21.7 yards a catch right now. Come on, Falk, bro. So how the fuck you hop off and ain't even say you was in chat? Cole Adams, 1335. Jaylen Brown, 1284. He's looking at it. Z Hayes holding it down. This is your Heisman winner last year. And he's by himself, but then you got Oregon, got 2 back-to-back, and then same thing with Alabama, 2 back-to-back. How about Cam Michael with 1236 on the season? And then there's the running back, Brandon Johnson with 38 catches, 1166, and 16 receiving touchdowns. So this man got 1,000 yards and 16 rushing touchdowns, 1,000 yards and 16 receiving touchdowns. He is dominating this year. Way to dominate. Peyton Lewis, 39 catches, 1,059. Holloway next with 989. Fryer with 956. Freddie Dubose for Texas with 948. And then Elijah Boyd is about to be the 3rd receiver for Oregon to touch 1,000 yards this year. Shakir Pounds, the redshirt freshman. This was the 5-star from the 2026 class who's now getting burned as a starter over there for the Clemson Tigers, and he had 31 catches for 106 yards. And then Ja'Cory Barney Jr. and Valralvo Noonan, sophomore. There you go, deep threat, 5'9", 187. Look at him, double dip, goal, takeoff, recoup, and clear-headed. All right, touchdown makers right now. Cam Michael leads the entire country at receiver with 21 touchdowns. Cole Adams with 19. Jasper Parker with 18. Z Hayes with 18. Philly PHI with 18. You got Brandon Johnson with 16. Card with 17. West Coast Jr. for Clemson with 13 touchdowns. Boyce for Oregon with 12. Peyton Lewis out the backfield with 11. Du Bois for Texas. You got Joshua Smith, Tulsa. P.J. Gibson with 11 for Florida State. Florida State might be back a little bit. Jaylen Brown with 10. Kevin Beckham, Fryer, Shrek. That's 2 Florida State guys with double-digit touchdowns. Shrek in his junior year, 10 touchdowns right now. Brady LaFell, Zachariah Drawdy, Kyson Moss, Louisville with 10. And then Tramar Harris for Bowling Green. On the defensive side of things, we'll have to go throughout the entire country to see things. So looking at Kylan Jackson, the middle linebacker for 6'3", 196. Where the fuck he come from? At linebacker. Hold the fuck up. But he got 109 tackles. He balling. Carlos Manuel also got 102 tackles already on the year. And what's impressive about that is that's not a computer user. These are guys that's being used, and he's making tackles in his ball games right now. So shout out to him. Gatier been one of the top tacklers since he joined Oregon 3 years ago. 90 of them things. Jaleel Hurley, real NIL corner. He out there pitting in work with us with 82 tackles on the year right now. Aaron Flowers in his junior redshirt year, he got 82 tackles on the year. Matt Rubin will stay there. How about Law, too, the linebacker? Quincy Law. He been a starter since his redshirt freshman year. He balling as well. All right, now, this is where we got to go through conferences to get the real stats right here. So the ACC, when it comes down to tackle for losses, we have a whole lot of double-digit guys, but the guy that's leading is Darian Mayo with 20 right now. And then there's the 5-star, elite 5-star that went to Syracuse, Walt Emil, one of the best sack guys in the country right now. Quincy Law at middle linebacker with 17. How about King Joseph Edwards, NIL player from the 2024 class? And then Terrell Pope, right end, redshirt sophomore, one of those big time 5-stars they picked up in their draft classes, as you can see. Dog. Carrington Lee. All right, Big 12, who's leading with tackle for losses right now? How about the 5-star middle linebacker, Buck James, who's playing outside linebacker this year with 18 tackle for losses? London Merritt, redshirt freshman. London Merritt coming around, take you down. London Merritt's coming around, sack yo QB. He balling right now for a redshirt freshman, his first year on the field. Pretty solid with 15 of them things. All right, fellas. Next up, Utah Ladd. He got 14. How about the trench bully, the block bully's younger brother? No, Wanko, but he's called Chijoku. And my guy, NOBB, with 13 of them things. NOBB, Nathaniel Awuso Botang, balling. How about Arizona senior Levitius Sua? And then John Henry Daly with 12 of them things. We won't go further than that. And we look at the Big Ten. 36 tackle for losses for Dean Van. Listen, this guy will be a first round top 10 pick. 36 tackle for losses right now. Gatier from the middle linebacker spot with 24 of them things. Oh my God. How about Charlton? Oregon is dominating right now. Laren Tongues. When you're looking at everybody from Oregon being your top fucking 6 to 7 guys, it's crazy. Look at this. 36, 24, 24, 23. Then you go to Newbie, who's been a dog since he's been playing. And then you go to Dylan Williams with 21. This is crazy. Quentin Mitchell with 16. Sean Ward with 15. And then Isaiah Patterson for UCLA. And then let's go to the big country, the South football. Spillman, senior, middle linebacker, 22. Ross with 21. Keon Keeley with 18 in his redshirt senior year. And then Zena Muzula, 16. Vernon Welsh in his redshirt freshman year, putting in work with 15. That's solid. Colin Simmons, 5-star dog, 58. Number 58 with 13 of them things. And then Chadavion Bradley in his redshirt senior year with 12. Agent Muller in his junior year with 12 of them things. Hurley from the cornerback spot. Emeka Iwu from the middle linebacker spot with 11. Boo Carter with 11. And then that's my boy Boo Carter. And then Ben Ayorkorio with 10 of them things. Let's stay in the SEC and see who dominated the sack. Jordan Ross turning the corner for 14 and a half of them things. David Stone for Oklahoma, 11 and a half, 5-star. Colin Simmons, 5-star, 10 and a half. And then you got Zena Umuzulu was 10 with 10 of them things. That's your double-digit guys. Let's go to the Big Ten. Who turning the corner? Elijah Rusher got 14. Charlton got 14 from the cornerback position. You got a slot corner with 5 interceptions, 14 sacks, 24 tackle for losses, 66 tackles on the year. When I tell you, on the slot, he played a run really well, but they send him off the slot all game long. He be balling. Tongues coming off the right end as a redshirt freshman. When you lose a big-time DN and Ugalele, and you give a guy his number, he better be that guy. Redshirt freshman and weight in Larry Tongues, 12 and a half sacks. How about Elijah Newby? He been getting to the quarterback every year since he's been on the field, 11 and a half. And then you're looking at Colin Campbell for Northwestern with 10, with 11, I'm sorry. Big 12 play. This is the first year where you're not looking at Colorado's edge rushers getting to the quarterback double digits this far. But we're looking at Utah, Leah, and then you're looking at Ricky Williams for West Virginia with 10. So there's only 2 of them with 10 and a half right now. Where the fuck are my guys? Merritt with 6 and a half. These the young boys. Convery outside linebacker. Hudson with 6. We got to step our game up. God damn. And then the ACC. Sack leaders are 12 and a half. Look at this 5-star elite. Walt, we going to call him Emil, 12 and a half. Logan Thomas with 12.5 for Notre Dame. How about Maurice Davis, for Louisville, 11.5, and then Trey Williams for Stanford with 10. INT department, 9 for Jaden Lewis for Clemson. Clemson stay with corners picking shit off all game long, and safeties, Jaden Patterson. How about the linebacker with 7 of them things, Quincy Law, and then you're looking at Daya McCullough, dog, right? He going to the league for sure. He should go to the league, but he got 5 of them things. Javion Clark as well with 5 of them things. And then you're looking at Taylor Schmidt for Florida State, and then Brahim Long Jr., Camden resident, with 5 of them things. How about middle linebacker NOBB? 6 of those bitches. Colton Hood right behind him. They lead the Big 12 with 6 and 5. Troy Ford Jr. for UCF. You got Arian Parrish, the senior for Arizona with 4, and then we're gonna stay there at Ebell. I ain't supposed to be talking about guys that got 4 and 3, but I saw my player sitting right there, so I was all over that shit. All right, Bridgewater, 9 of them things. James Bridgewater, the cornerback, junior, man-to-man corner, 6'1", 178, which is impressive because that's what USC do. They lock you up man-to-man. So this is a shut-down corner who will definitely, if he come back, I think he's going to come back a year and play his senior year. And when he plays senior year, this will be one of the top 5 corners coming out of that 27 class. I promise you. Peyton Woodyard, 6'2", 188, and his redshirt junior year with 8 picks, caps, Moses caps, a redshirt freshman at the cornerback position. When you got that pressure coming, this is another team that's sending. You're looking at these West Coast teams sending blitzes all from all over the place. Caps is benefiting from that because you got one corner getting to the quarterback and getting picks, but the other cornerback is lining up, and when your quarterback is under pressure, letting that bitch go, they there to pick them shits off. Ashton Porter as well. As you can see, that's 3 Oregon players with 5 or more picks. Casey Lovelace, you're looking at Brian Luttress, redshirt sophomore at the safety position. And then there's the guy that got 14 sacks as well as 24 tackles for losses, has 5 interceptions. And Marcellus Williams, another junior corner. USC cornerbacks are going to be really good next year. Jesus Christ. And then the SEC, who's dominating. 5 for Tutupuela from Alabama, cornerback. You got Brian Stuber, another corner. 6'3", 206-pound corner at 4 picks. Red Morgan, free safety. He got 170. He's 6 foot, 175. He got 4 of them things, and we'll stay right there. All right, that's your stats. That's your show. We will catch you on a rebound. With that being said, we are out of here. Game day DNA gone.